Hello everyone, Terry Arbor here. I thought I better get that first lesson out on Guitarjitsu. Um, if I keep waiting for everything to be perfect for the video, you know what, I'll never make it. So I thought I better get this done because the information is what's important. It's not the quality of the video. Admit that you got to be able to understand the information, so quality does count to a certain point. But as long as we can get the information across, um, I think it's going to be great. So I just woke up here. Um, I'm a truck driver, as you can see over the road. So just woke up and thought I better make this video before I get rolling today. Um, okay, so I said in the last one, in the introduction to the Guitarjitsu system, I was going to show you a scale more important than the pentatonic scale, and I will. Now, we ask ourselves, what is a scale? I know to like a piano or other musicians, it's just a series of notes with certain intervals between them to determine what type of scale it is. But for a guitar player, that's true, but for us it's even more special because it actually shows us an area of the fretboard that we can play in without sounding bad, to be in key. So the pentatonic scale, box one of the pentatonic, is a neighborhood that we can play in that will sound good in that key. So if I did on the fifth fret, if I played a minor pentatonic, it would sound good over, an A chord, an A minor chord or an A chord. It would sound good. It would sound good over that, resolving to the roots, which would be the A's. It would sound great. Um, but that's that neighborhood. And there's 5 boxes of the pentatonic. Each one's a separate neighborhood. Okay? So think of the different boxes of scales. And I do teach box scales because that's how the guitar is tuned in this system. Think of the different box scales and the chords and arpeggios and things like that as neighborhoods that you can play in. Well, did you know that there is an interstate scale, or as I call it, a root scale, that will actually guide you from one neighborhood to another neighborhood, or from one concept to another concept, and actually links everything together. It's like the DNA of the guitar. The DNA of music on the guitar is the root scale. The root scale is very, very important, and I hardly hear anyone even mention, I've never heard anyone actually call it out as a scale. It's made up of all the same notes, so I don't know if technically you can call it a scale, but yet it's the same concept for the guitar player because you're learning a shape that never changes. The root scale is very, very simple, but mastering it is a little different because you're going to use it in a different way. So let me show you the first note of the root scale. Now I've got a high-tech whiteboard here. Now this is the guitar fretboard. Yeah, this is the guitar fretboard. This is where the tuning keys are, and that's where you actually would strum it. This is the low E, and that's the high E. So we're going to do a G root scale. So we'd go down to our 3rd fret, which is G on the high E, and there is our first G note. Now you need to write this same kind of diagram down in your journal and diagram this out so that you can find all your G notes. The second note in our root scale, G root scale, is there on the 3rd fret because the high E and low E are duplicate frets. The next note in our root scale is here. That is 2 frets down and 2 strings up on the D string, and there's another G. See how that kind of makes a triangle? Interesting, huh? I'll be more about that later on. Our next one is going to be 4 frets down because the B string is tuned differently. That's something that you're going to learn. The B string is tuned differently. Let's see if I got enough of these. Yeah, I do. I got enough magnets. Okay. The B string's tuned different. So normally it would be on the 3rd fret right there. And it would be the same difference as this one and this one, the same space. But this is tuned differently, so you go 4 strings down. So there's 4 G's, 4 G notes. Our next one is going to be down again on the A string. It's going to be 2 frets down on the A string. Our next note in our root scale is going to be 2 strings down, 2 strings up, 2 frets down, and there's another G. And our final one is going to be again 4 frets down because we're making up for the B string and the difference in the tuning. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe that's right. Let me see. No, I think that's wrong. I think it's here. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, okay. Hard for me to see from this angle and count. But here we have the root scale. This is something that you need to really write down. You will use it for the rest of your life. It's the heart of the Guitarjitsu system. I apologize for the glare and all these things. I apologize, but the information is what counts, and this information is king. These are all G notes. This shows you all the G notes between the 3rd fret and where it repeats. And you see the high E and the high E, the system just starts over. There would be another G note here and then here, and it would start the whole process over. And you've got this triangle shape, and you got this shape that descends, and then you've got this backward triangle shape. I should have made a couple pieces to show, but if you put a piece here, then you would have this backward triangle shape. See, I moved this first one down here. See the backward triangle shape? So you got the 2 backward triangle shapes, and then you've got the part that goes down. Triangle, ascending note, down, ascending, and then the triangle. Anyway, this just repeats. This repeats over and over again, and it shows you where every G note is on the guitar. The way that you practice this is, let's see, I want to tell you what you can use it for to start. Well, I'll tell you how to practice it. I'm sorry. You practice it by starting on this note and then just simply playing forward through it without referencing. And you could repeat it and go further if you want to up your fretboard. Then you want to be able to start with the highest note here and then go backwards down the fretboard. I'll demonstrate this before the video is over on my guitar. And when you get really familiar with this, when you get it under your fingers, what's important about this scale is since there's only one note on each string until it repeats, then you can actually, the second step in practicing this is you start on this note, and then you don't actually play the next notes. You just look with your eyes and see, and you skip to the you skip 3 notes, or you skip 2 notes. So you have your finger on this one, you play that one, and then you just look and see where this is, and then find this one, and then play this note, and then look and see where this one is, look and see where that one is, and then play this note, so that you skip ahead. Then try skipping 4 notes. Go play this note, skip this one, skip this one, skip this one, skip this one, and play this one. When I mean skip, I mean you're actually just looking with your eyes down the guitar. You look with your eyes down the guitar and locate the right note, and make sure that you jump to the right note and that it's an actual G note that matches this note. And then the same thing you do backwards. You start up here and you skip 2 or 3 notes and land, and see if you can find and stay in the scale going backwards. Very important. All this is very, very important. In the next 2 or 3 lessons, you will see, well, this is way better than the cage system ever dreamt about being. Okay? Now, what you can do with this once you learn this, when you get this under your fingers, what you can do with this is you can use the root scale. And I hope that you got this wrote down. If you don't, pause it, write it down in your journal. What you can do, and I'll show you how I used it. Now, I had you can find inversions of chords without having to worry what inversion it is. You can find inversions of chords. You can find different sounding chords on the neck. I had this blues chord that I would play in the key of A. It's on the 5th fret. And I said, well, I really want this somewhere else. I want to find this in other places. So I applied the root scale. Well, I started here as if this was my root note, and then I followed the root scale up. And we ended up with, if we follow that root scale up, then it goes to here. That's the next note up in our root scale. If you look at your pattern that you wrote down, you'll see that when you're on that low string, you always go to that one as your next root note. Then I took this one and said, okay, where's my next note in my root scale? Oh, there it is. If you follow the root scale from here, you pretend that this one is your root, and you look at your pattern you wrote down, this will be your next one. And I said, what? What's my next note? And I looked at this one. I said, the next one's going to be here. Okay, I had a phone call that completely interrupted the video and stopped it from recording. I love that. Okay. So anyway, we did the root scale. We got from this note, we found this one. From this note, we found this note. And from this note, we found that note. And if I take this off, we have our inversion that I use all the time when I play the blues. Now, before you move on with it, I want you to be able to play backward and forward through the root scale. I want you to be able to look backward and forward so that you can go anywhere on the fretboard without having to play each note, but just be able to look down the fretboard and find it. I want you to be able to do that. And this could find any note, by the way. We started on the 3rd fret doing the root, the G root. You could do an A root if you started on the 5th fret. You could do a F note or an F sharp note. Anywhere you start, it's going to show you where all those notes are on, and without missing one of them, it's going to show you all the notes on the fretboard. Okay? Practice that. I'm going to do some demonstration now. Okay, here's the root scale. I taught it already in the first part of the video, so I'll just play it. This is how you should practice it. And backwards. And you want to get where you can just look ahead and look backwards too. So I'm going to start with this note and I'm going to look ahead a few notes. Found that note. Let's look ahead some more notes. Let's do it backwards. So that's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to jump around like that. Then jump around. That's what you want to be able to do with it. Stay tuned for the next video. You want to subscribe because I'm going to be putting them out hopefully every few days if I'm lucky. But the next video is going to be awesome. We're going to tie this in to the chords and you're going to be like, oh holy fuck. This is going to change the way you look at the guitar and you play it for the rest of your life. That's why I call it Guitarjitsu. It's like a martial art. You'll add to it and you'll teach it, and people that you taught it to will add to it, but it'll never change. You'll always do Guitarjitsu. It's that powerful of a system. Stay tuned to the next lesson. All the major minor chords all over the neck. It's going to be awesome.